welcome to Viewpoints podcast brought to you by Equiture, the leading provider of public safety software and training. We are an international leader in public safety training and technology and products geared toward providing tools to help responders stay safe and educated. For those who are new to our podcasts, we offer these podcasts with a variety of guests geared toward public safety topics, as well as monthly webinars. Today, we are excited to have with us Kelley Cunningham from Eaton County, Michigan. She is the National APCO Director of the Year. Kelley has some amazing processes and events to share that brought her to this shining star moment. Thank you for joining us, Kelley.
Thank you for having me.
Along with her is Supervisor Libby Howland. This is her employee who nominated her. Libby will share her views on her director and what prompted her to write her nomination for the Director of the Year. Libby, I'm so happy you're here as well. It isn't often that people get to hear about what went on behind a nomination. So I'm really glad you're able to join us.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm going to start right off. Questions. Kelley, I have a big question for you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in 911 and some of the history you have with your agency?
Absolutely. So I have been in the 911 industry for over 17 years. I actually went to Fair State University to be an elementary teacher. And when I finished college, there was about one position and 500 applicants. So, as I was trying to find a teaching job, I was also exploring other areas. I applied to be a public safety telecommunicator and got the job, and I fell in love with it, and there was no looking back. So I started as a telecommunicator. I became a Communications Training Officer, a Supervisor, and then a Deputy Director. And then at that time, my director took another director job at a neighboring county. So I interviewed and was named the director of Eaton County. So I've worked my way up, and I would say that's one of my the things, being a leader here. I've been in their shoes, and I remember what it's like. So I think it was helpful, and I can also do the job with them. I don't know if they like that, but
That's funny.
Watch out, here she comes.
Yeah.
So you've been at Eaton County your whole career?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I laugh, you saying that you don't know if they like that. When I was first promoted to supervisor, I had one of my friends who is now my, subordinate, which, that was always an uncomfortable term. I don't know if you found that to be true. She says, Sherry, remember where you came from. I have just these two things. Remember where you came from and bring us candy. And I always tell people that story because, after a few years of being a director, you still remember where you came from. But you find that those peers that are now, part of your staff that make the agency shine, they don't really want you to come in and answer the phone.
I know. When we got our new radio system, I can page fire departments and do the best, but we got a new radio system, and I remember they were really busy. I picked up a phone call, and I was like, okay, I'll tone this. And I'm like, new system. Like, I know how to use it, but I'm like, oh. And I look at the new person next to me. I'm like, I have police radio. You tone this.
Right. Yeah, we had this button on our radio console, and it was foreign to me, and the dispatcher said, "Oh, Sherry, you can push anything," and I'm like, "Oh, push that. What's that button?" She's like, "Oh, did you push that?" I said, "Well, yeah, you said I could push anything." She goes, "You just set off all the sirens in the county." Oh no, really? Yeah, sure enough, phones are lighting up, and I'm like, oh man.
You're
So,
just drumming up some business.
right. Well, anyway, Libby, how about you? What's a little bit about yourself? How long have you been in 911 and with your agency?
Yeah, so I've been a dispatcher for 14 years now, 8 of which have been here at Eaton County. I was in a neighboring county prior to that. So growing up, my mom was a dispatcher, my dad was a firefighter paramedic, and for some reason I thought that's not what I was going to do. And, so I went off to college and I stayed close to home, and kind of like Kelley, once I graduated, there were not many options, for a job here, and I knew I didn't want to leave. And so my mom said, you should apply to be a dispatcher. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try it for a little while. And, somehow she knew, the universe knew this is where I would be. My sister's a dispatcher, my brother's in the fire service. So it's like, I don't really know why I thought I wasn't going to do that. So, but now, 14 years later, I love it and love what I do here at Eaton County. I started as a dispatcher here, trainer, and then promoted to supervisor. So that's where I am today.
Wow. Well, so what'd you go to college for?
So I went to Michigan State, and I was going to do recreation therapy, people with physical disabilities, mental disabilities. I knew that was kind of the fields that I wanted to go into, but the jobs were just not here after I graduated. So, I'm still here, guidance of my family and still helping people every day. So I didn't go too far off track, but,
Right.
I tried, but couldn't.
Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so let's talk about the Director of the Year. I don't know if either of you knew it. I used to sit on that committee in Michigan, and then I also used to sit on the national committee for APCO. And so, for our guests, our audience who might not know, the of the year awards, that's what I call them, because there's several of them: Director of the Year, Telecommunicator of the Year, Supervisor of the Year, Trainer of the Year. Help me out here if I miss one. Radio
Team
Tech of the Year, Team of the Year. I liked it when APCO put that one in place. Um,
Information technologist.
Information Technologist of the Year, right? So, in order to qualify for one of those categories, you have to be in that position, which makes sense. Michigan, I really liked it. So I came from another state. I liked the way Michigan did it. And I don't know if you knew this, but not every state does it this way. When someone wins the Michigan award, they automatically take that winner and they submit it to national.
Mm-hmm.
Not that people can't still submit a national award, but that's just how Michigan did it. So, Kelley, when you were nominated and you won that Michigan Director of the Year, were you surprised? Did you know the nomination was coming, or was the whole thing a shock?
Well, I am the chair of the Michigan Awards.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So, I also, it was my first year. So I digitalized everything and I'm going through the awards and I'm like, oh my gosh, Libby. And I didn't read it because I was like, nope, I'm not going to read it. So I contacted the APCO president and just said, my employee nominated me for Director of the Year. I totally understand. I'll just take her nomination away. We won't even look at it. And she's like, absolutely not. Do you know how much time and energy your employee put into that? And I was like, she's like, did you read it? I'm like, nope, not reading it. Like, so one of the committee members, she used to run the award chair. She was the Michigan APCO Awards chair, just took that category, the director category. And she called me and she's like, so you won. And I'm like, no, let's not do that. Like, I'm like, no, like, let's. And she's like, no, Kelley, you won. And I actually was like, well, maybe I just don't know if this will look good. Like, this is weird for me. And she's like, nope, you deserved it. Also, read the nomination. Just read the nomination, call me back. And so I read the nomination and I was like, okay, like she put a lot of time and energy into this, and it meant so much to me, and I just didn't want to disregard it. So I was like, all right, I'll accept it. So it was a little awkward, but to make it fair, we did send it to someone else because I was nominated. But the look on my face, I was in my office by myself going through nominations. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, she didn't know. I don't know who I even told. Uh-huh. Maybe I think I probably told our deputy director, but other than that, I didn't say anything to anybody. So I wanted it to be a surprise. I like surprises. Kelley is not, apparently. Yes. No.
Well, it's so humbling, to win that award.
It is. It definitely is. And I don't like to be in the spotlight. Like I like, my people do such a great job, and that their job reflects back on me. So they are in turn the ones that make me look good. And not only that is, I just celebrated my 2-year anniversary as the director. So I was like, Libby, I'm a baby director. You can't nominate me. So
that's very cool. So Libby, I mean, Kelley's saying she's a baby director. And I'm not going to buy that, because that's about where I was when I moved to Michigan, when I was nominated and won too. I don't know if you knew that. So, we can get a lot done as baby directors. So don't discount that. What prompted you, Libby, to write the nomination? I mean, tell me some things that were just really important to you that you put in your nomination.
Yeah. And, I think you're right. I think baby directors, or baby anything, when you're starting off, you're highly motivated. You want to prove that you earned the spot, and you're maybe overly productive. And so, I don't think years of service, should reflect the change you can make in a center, or, the things you get done day to day. And especially Kelley being promoted up the line here at Eaton County, she knew the environment and how we operated and what we needed. So, to finally put her in that head position, she's really in charge of it all now and can make it happen. So, I think her being here, and then, her motivation when she got into the job, that only helped her. So, and proved that she deserved the position that she got. But in my nomination, and I think we're going to talk about it a little later, all the things that she does day to day, I think the most important thing is that Kelley has really tackled what our industry is asking for advice on, the turnover rate and the morale in the center and the staffing. All of those things that we know our partners are struggling with in Michigan and across the country, Kelley she seems to have a hold on. We have good staffing here. Our turnover rate is very low. The morale in our center is very high. And mental health. That's something that I'm really passionate with our dispatchers and our field responders. And that is number one in our center. And so I also think it's very important, even though Kelley, unfortunately she had to be the face of it, which I know she was humbled and somewhat uncomfortable by. I think that it's important to show her and to show the industry, what she's doing and help others. We don't want to say that Kelley is the greatest and the best, and I am so sorry that none of you get her like we do. We want to put her out there, and she in turn, like she already has, put all of us out there and say, this is the buy-in from our whole team, and this is what I can do as a director, and this is what my brand new dispatcher, who's only been on the floor for 2 weeks, contributes to what we've created here. And so we want that. We want that for everybody else. in our state and, you know, in the whole industry. So she gets to be the face of that for a year. So
Um, if you were to give a class, Libby, on how to write nominations, I mean, you've said some really powerful things just right now. So if people came to you and said, wow, you know, you have a great director, but how do you, I can't write that. I mean, when I was chairing the Michigan Awards Committee, and then when I was sitting on the national committees, some of the things that people would write about their directors were great. Really, there's really some great people in our nation, but it was the people who could paint the pictures, uh, they're that were able to make their, you know, directors or supervisors, you know, shine. So what kind of things, if you were to write a class, what kind of things would you really want people to do? What would you tell your students?
well, if you have never opened up the nomination or looked at how to submit a nomination, that alone can take you back a little bit, because you open it up and there's 11 questions, you know, and it's kind of like you flash back to your high school and college days. You're like, that's 11 essays I have to write. And that's really what it is. I mean, it's pages and pages. So I would say to start early. Start early, not only because it will take you a while to gather your thoughts and, you know, to nicely put it into essay form. You know, but especially with Kelley's, that was a group thing, you know, asking other people what they thought, and give me some examples, you know. Tell me a time that you remember about Kelley, or tell me something that Kelley does well. So it was not, I wrote the nomination, but the ideas and the stories and the examples that came from our center. So I'm not the only one who, you know, appreciates Kelley and everything she does. Everyone contributed to that, and that took a while, you know, asking for help and kind of gathering everyone's stories and thoughts. Another thing too, and I think I even wrote it in my nomination, you know, I feel like I'm rambling. I feel like, you know, I'm going on and on. But one of the questions was, tell us what she does day to day. And so I did, you know, and I really just, I think it paints a picture of everything that can be on her plate at any given day. You know, she has to schedule us. She has to sit down and look at the schedule and, you know, make sure everybody shows up, right? That's easy enough. I have employees. All of our employees generally show up to work, so that's very nice. You know, that scheduling program is crazy. You know, all the way to if we have an incident that we work, not only does she have to make sure the center is still staffed, but now we have people on scene dispatching with our field responders, and Kelley's there too. So it's just, you know, when they asked kind of what could be expected of her every day, I made sure to put it all in there, and really paint a picture of what her job is. The other thing that I would say is to make it personal, and to show some personality, you know, and what are some of the funny things that Kelley does, or what are some of the, you know, random things that, I don't know, would your director bring you chicken nuggets when we're out in the field with the tactical team, you know, stuff like that, that while she's in here working on a computer or a radio and getting stuff done as the director, she's also a human too. And, you know, she treats us like that, and she knows that we're human and we have families and home lives and things like that. So really painting Kelley as a person, not just a director. I tried to put a lot of personality in there, both from my point of view writing it, and then from what she is as a person.
Wow. So Kelley, when you read it and then, you know, you accepted your award, so you would have received the Director of the Year in Michigan last year, 2022, and then you in October, so a year ago this month, and then the National Director of the Year you received at National APCO in August of this year.
Mm-hmm.
How surprised were you when you received the national award? What did that mean to you? So you've already read the nomination.
Uh-huh.
How did you feel when you were notified about that?
Well, let me talk about that day. So I knew something was up, but I didn't know what was going on. So Libby sent me a text message and said, "Kelley, I need to talk to you. Just making sure you're not like leaving early to take the kids anywhere." And I was like, "Oh, my daughter Ella has something later, so I have to leave by this time." And she's like, "Okay, I just want to make sure we have enough time to talk." And I'm like, "Okay." And then my deputy director comes in my office. "Have you talked to Libby?" I'm like, "Yeah, I talked to Libby. I'm texting her right now. Is she saying I'm not?" Like, I'm confused. And because why would she be like reaching out to him if we're talking? And he's like, "Oh, okay, good, good, good. All right." And so, a few hours later, like, my deputy director comes in my office, sits down, and we're like, "What's up?" Which, I mean, it's not unnormal, but like, it's normal for him to come sit in my office and talk to me. But he was just like kind of being weird. And I was just like, "What's going on?" And then all of a sudden, the supervisor that's working the floor comes in my office, like, "Hey, Cal." I'm like, "Hi. What's going on, guys?" And then
it's an intervention.
And then it pops Libby with flowers. And I'm like, "Who are those for?" And she's like, "You." And I'm like, "Your birthday was like yesterday. Why are you buying me flowers?"
No, I said, "Just kidding. These aren't for you." I said,
"Oh, yeah."
"These are for the International 911 Director of the Year.
Yes.
They're not for you, Kelley." So then she kind of,
I was like, "Excuse
she
me?"
kind of
What?
got it.
Yeah. And then she gave me the flowers and told me that I have been selected for the APCO International Director of the Year. I think there was like a training class going on downstairs, and one of our supervisors was teaching it. So they interrupted that and said, and they wanted me to come. I was like, "Nope, I'm not going."
She refused.
And they're like, "We need to stop this training right now. We have the International Director of the Year." And then somehow in that short amount of time, it became Intergalactic Director of the Year.
We did upgrade to Universe. Yes.
So everyone was super excited. I was very excited, nervous, flattered, all those things. I called my husband and that, my mom, and they were all very excited. And then being the APCO International Director of the Year isn't an easy thing either. You have lots of things to do. You got to like send a bio and like 40 pictures, and you're like, "Okay, here's my list of things I have to do with my deadline."
Wow.
Gave her a little bit of homework, which took less time than writing the nomination. Yes, so I don't feel bad for her.
Oh, did you get to go, Libby, to the national?
Yes, I did get to go. I think I was already scheduled.
Yeah, you were.
Maybe to go just to attend. So then it got even better.
Yeah. My supervisors, we take turns. There's 6 of them, and then so 3 go on national conferences every other year. So they get to choose what they want to go to if you're in that supervisor position.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So Eaton County, there's a little spoiler alert. Well, it won't be, but Eaton County of the Year awards. So we have our Intergalactic Director of the Year for 2023, and sitting right next to you is the brand newly going to be appointed in October, the Supervisor of the Year. Libby, congratulations on that nomination and that award. So you guys, you have something really cool going on there in Eaton County. Can you tell me about your goals and your visions for your organization, with the processes that you have for your agency?
also
That,
to add to that, one of our trainers, Sandra Yarger, she was also named Trainer of the Year for.
oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes, and today is Sandra's last day working as a telecommunicator because she is promoted tomorrow to supervisor. So,
Oh, good.
yes.
Well, that'll be a great conference. That'll be a great meeting for you
Yes,
guys.
Yeah.
yes, we're excited.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good. Well, so with that team that you have, um, tell me what your goals and your visions are.
So we need to keep moving forward. One person can't do it alone. I may be the director, the face of leadership at Eaton County 911, but I really can't do it without my team. And it takes my supervisors, my telecommunicators, it takes my support staff, my executive assistant, my clerk receptionist. It takes a team. And the biggest thing for morale moving forward is if you focus on all the negative, that's all you're going to see. So you have to change that thought and find all the good stuff that's happening around you. And sometimes that's not easy in a communication center because you are answering the phone, and it is most of the time it is on the other line or on the other end of that phone is someone that's having a really bad day. So if you get sucked into that negativity, then that's all you're going to see. So you really have to change the culture, and you have to look for all the great things happening around you. So a desk may be broken, right? And that just really frustrates someone, or a chair may not be working and it's their favorite chair. Well, if you dwell on that, like, you're just going to create an atmosphere where everyone is angry about everything. I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about it in the big scheme of things, you're upset because a chair is broken and it's your favorite chair. How about, hey, I'm going to go tell someone I'm going to get this fixed and they're going to fix it for me. Or, hey, we got lots of other chairs in the meantime while that's getting fixed. I mean, that's something pretty small, right? But it is changing the culture. And it starts with your new dispatchers all the way to the top. So, if a supervisor hears a dispatcher, sometimes they need to vent, let them vent, and then you got to turn it into something positive. So, yes, I know you're frustrated, but hey, what went well? What went great? Like, something good had to come out of this, right? And if you don't change that culture, you just get stuck in a rut, and all you can see is negativity everywhere. So, you could be mad, you could be angry, but life's too short. Come to work, find some positivity, have some fun while you're at it. Like, we have a pretty serious job, right?
Right.
But we also have downtime. Like, move your bodies, walk, be positive, laugh, talk. You do you. Invite your family in.
Pet the dog.
Yeah, we do have a dog now. Yes.
How is that? I mean, I want to come back to what's been done to change the culture, but I want to talk about the dog for a second. So, what kind of dog do you have?
He is a Labradoodle.
Okay.
And his name is Hutch. He is from an organization called Canine for Change. So he has been trained since he was 8 weeks old. And many of the Canine for Change dogs are in schools. And we were the first 911 center. And then his sister went to a neighboring center. And his other sister is in one of our local schools now. And my favorite command for him is cuddle, because if you tell him to cuddle, he will cuddle you. So
Yes.
he's
Aww.
actually here. I can have him come say hi.
Oh
It'll be his
yeah, we want to see him.
Yes. So one of our supervisors is the primary canine handler. And so Hutch lives with Supervisor Nunham, and he comes to work when Supervisor Nunham comes to work. And then I am the backup handler. So she is going on vacation, so I happen to have him for the weekend.
Okay, so I wondered how that worked. I had the last PSEP I worked in. They had talked about a dog, and I was like, who's going to walk the dog. I mean, they wanted the dog to live at the PSAP, and I
Mhm.
couldn't quite wrap my head around
Yeah.
how that would work. But you have an assigned canine handler,
Mhm.
which that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just as important for Hutch to have a day off, just like the rest of the employees. He shouldn't have to work 24/7. I think if I had one of my employees, I said, "Hey, I need you to live here and work here 24/7," they'd be like, "You're out of your mind."
Yeah.
Right.
No, thank you.
So I think it's important that Hutch gets to go home and take a break because it is a lot. And then also we have a public relations team and a tactical dispatch team, and he also participates in this. So
Hi,
this
buddy.
is Hutch.
Aww.
Can you say hi? Do you know what it means to be on TV?
Sit. Yes, stay. Good boy. Oh, yes. Hi, sir. And how can you not love him?
Right. Right. What a good boy.
Uh-huh. So he's been trained, and then what he will do is the handler and him will have to recertify every year. So they just kind of keep an eye on like how things are going, and then if they need to address any issues, they will kind of do like a retrain. But he is everyone loves him, and how like hi. Oh, yes. Are you a boy? Hi. Look at. Can you say hi? So, Jess is the canine handler, so she jokes around and says that I'm grandma because you go to grandma's house and get spoiled. So, nothing like coming to work and they're like, "It's your grandma." I'm like, "I'm way too young to be a grandmother, but okay." So,
Well, how do all of the shifts get to see him? How does that?
yeah, so obviously the night shift gets to see him more, and then supervisors overlap with day shift, so the day shift gets to see him. But I take so if Jess doesn't have vacations planned, I will take him for a few days and have him see other shifts. And then when we have like public relation events or tactical dispatch events, he will deploy to those. And he is now in his favorite spot on my couch. You can't see it.
Word.
So,
All right. So I'm sure you did some research on that. How many PSAPs have a dog?
we actually were talking about this yesterday, and we think in the state of Michigan, like six,
right? I
six
think
of us
six.
have them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's, I mean, people are reaching out and asking how it's going. And, you know, I think having a primary handler and a secondary handler works well because like Hutch will go home with me tonight and I have two dogs, and yeah, it's crazy that I sometimes have three. I mean,
Well, that's what Jess has,
Yes.
right? His handler
Yes.
also has three. So he has brothers and sisters there too. And, you know, Jess is great. She loves the outdoors. They, you know, so she takes him. He's so spoiled wherever he goes. So
He goes on long walks.
Yeah.
But like he'll go home and as soon as he takes his facility dog vest off, he's like wrestling with my dogs, having a good time. So it's also important for him to leave and decompress, and because he does, like when we do take bad calls, he feels it and he'll come over and sit next to you and like provide support for you. And you know, that has to take a little bit of a toll on him. But he does, he's spoiled.
Yeah.
Everyone in the county has treats for him.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just so refreshing because like I showed up this morning, right? And usually it'd be like, "Good morning." Like, I mean, they're not totally excited to see me, but when I come with Hutch, they're like, "Hutch, oh hey." But it's just like you have these grown men that are like, "Oh, Hutch."
Yeah.
So,
oh, hi, Kelley. Oh, Hutch.
Yeah, exactly.
So Libby, you said that mental health, that was a really important topic for you. So how instrumental was getting Hutch into your center? How important was that?
Well, I think it just displays, even on just the basic level of what we can actually physically do every day, to have the support from Kelley, and Kelley has supported it right from the beginning. Jess, who is his handler, she did the research, and she called, and the amount of work that she put in even before we got Hutch, we owe a lot of the credit to Jess.
Yeah, she presented it. She brought me the idea, and I was like, okay, I want you to do the research, and also we'll go present this to the Board of Commissioners. And so she went to our Public Safety Committee, presented it there. She went to Ways and Means, which that is they approve all the finance stuff, and presented it there. And then they took it to the full board, and it passed with everyone's approval. So
we had great support from the board, and it's hard. A lot of the trainings that we've been attending lately, when you talk about mental health in this industry, I think we're doing some great things here. We have the EAP, we have people to talk to, we have the capital area support team. A lot of things, we're moving in the right direction with mental health. This is after the work is done with Jess and the board and everything. This is easy. This is something easy that we can do every day for our people, to just give you even a base level of mental health. You're still going to take those hard calls. You're still going to have those rough days at work. But at least while you're here in the center, not asking for time off or not having to make phone calls to speak to somebody, stuff like that, he's an easy right there. And he just knows, he can kind of feel Kelley and I both kind of sitting up and talking, because we're getting passionate about this. And he's kind of like, whoa, ladies, do I need to be over here right now? He just kind of knows. So a lot of work and planning and support went into this, but now he's just here, and it kind of feels like the least we can do for our people every day. Even though we have those people who they'll take a terrible call and they say, I'm fine. Okay, do you need to talk to somebody? No, I don't need to talk to anybody. They're just kind of, we haven't got them to kind of cross over yet. But they take Hutch well, and that they take his cuddles, and they'll get down on the ground with him. And so you can kind of see some of those people are going to be a little harder to kind of break through and get through that barrier and accept the changes in mental health that are happening in our industry. Even they're down on the ground with Hutch. So,
right.
If that's where we have to start, then that's what we'll do. So he's been awesome.
He is a deployable resource. So, if another center who doesn't have a facility canine has a bad call, and, we can take them over there for their staff to love on. We had a fire department that had a medical emergency with one of their own. And we were on our way, but then the chief there also has a dog, so he ended up getting him to be able to come in. But he's a deployable resource. So if anyone takes a bad call, we can take them and go show the other centers what
a benefit
he is.
Yeah.
And and having a facility dog, you really have to kind of look at your staff, and it's a big responsibility. It is a dog. It's not, and to us, he's like another human. So, and you got to take care of him. You have to pick up, after him, you got to watch him. At the end of the day, he's very, very well trained, but he's still a dog. He was with me on his birthday, and we had cake, and I found him on my desk eating it. I was like, Hutch.
That was also the same day he got into the trash in the fishbowl. So he pushes his luck a little bit.
He does. So you still have to watch him. And at this, he's just over 1. His birthday's in July, so he's a puppy. He's a very smart puppy. But it is a responsibility, and everyone has to work together. And that was our biggest thing. Before I even had Supervisor Nunham present this to the Board of Commissioners. I reached out to the whole staff. Hey, we are working on this. Is anyone against this? Does anyone, like, please let me know, because I'm not going to waste our time if you don't feel comfortable here. Now, when we hire, I do say, like, we do have a Labradoodle and he is trained. He, like, if you don't want to interact with him, you don't have to interact with him, and he knows that.
He knows.
But you know, it's just, and everyone's like, you have a dog? Is that real? I'm like, yes.
Yeah. No issues so far.
So
no allergies.
No, nope. And he's hypoallergenic. So even if you have allergies, like his breed is one that if you are allergic to dogs, it doesn't cause a problem. And very minimal shedding and all that stuff. So we did make sure that, you know, we're making this a clean, safe environment while still being able to provide a facility canine. So.
All right. So when you've changed some of the things in the culture of your organization, Kelley, 17 years, and Libby, did you said 14 years?
Mm-hmm.
So you've, I mean, I'm personally familiar with your organization for that many years as well. You have seen a lot of changes throughout those years. Did you get, when you were making those cultural changes, and I guess I'm trying to get to a point here for our listeners. I mean, you can see what needs to be done, but in order to make those sweeping changes like that, what kind of groundwork did you have to lay?
Yeah, so, you know, it starts with creating a team. So I changed the format of supervisor meetings, and what we were talking about is mostly like business. And I'm like, how are you supposed to supervise if you don't know what issues people are having? So, you know, you have this person that's normally not on your shift, might be having, you know, a bad season in life, comes to your shift on overtime, and you're like, what is happening? And you're frustrated. So we changed the supervisor meetings to kind of forums of like, okay, let's talk about everyone on your shift. What's going really well? Any concerns? And then we talk about those concerns as a group, but not like digging in a hole that, you know, is going nowhere. How can we fix it? We problem solve together. Okay, this is what we need to do. And if they come to your shift, this is what you need to do. And of course, he's being naughty.
That's our highly trained dog right there.
He's not supposed to bark, but he hears someone coming in. He also works night shifts, so a few times, like very less traffic at night. Yeah. And so when Jess listens to this, she'll be like, "Hutch." They've been.
He's not getting in trouble with Mama now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of changing that atmosphere, like, hey, if you guys as supervisors permit someone to act like this, you're allowing it. You're telling the whole center that it's okay to behave like that. So we need to work together as a team. So if Libby's holding someone to the certain standards, so does everyone else. So it's just really opening that line of communication and focusing on the people. You know, there are other things that we need to focus on and talk about at supervisor meetings. But our main focus has to be the people, because, you know, this job is a lot. It's stressful. You're here for 12-hour shifts. You work nights, weekends, holidays. You miss out on family time. And if we can make this a good environment that you're excited about, like, it's not always fun to have to leave your family, and it's not always fun to have to miss the holidays. But if we can make this a environment where people want to come to, you know, I can't do that by myself. I can't be here 24/7, right? So right. I have to have the buy-in of my supervisors. And, you know, I just look at them. I'm like, don't you want this to be a great place to work? And how can you say no?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, this is what we need to do. And it takes it takes a village.
It takes
right?
everybody.
It takes everyone. Because we also have to have open communication that they need to tell me what they need and I need to tell them what they need. Also, I need to keep them in check. They need to keep me in check. Like that's a mutual respect. Most of, especially all my supervisors, some of them have been my supervisor. The most senior supervisor actually trained me. So, it is a kind of different role and all that stuff. But two of my supervisors, right before I got promoted to deputy director, they were on my shift. And then it's their job to now go to their shift and say, okay, what do you need? You know what I mean? So it's that trickle down effect. And then, another thing was we were never going to talk to supervisors as telecommunicators unless we were in trouble. That has to change. So I don't want you to be scared to go talk to your supervisor. What that conversation needs to look at is, what do you want? How do you want to grow? Because I'm going to help you. Do you want to be a CTO? Do you want to be on the public relations team? You want to be on tactical dispatch? You want to be a supervisor one day? You want to be the director? All right, we're going to help you. We're going to help you grow, and we're going to encourage and help you along the way. And that's what really needed to change. Like, I remember starting here, and I didn't know a lot of things. Like, I didn't know what APCO was. I didn't know what NINA was. And I am just one of those people that, like, if I'm in it, I want to know everything. Like, I want to know how this all works. And, Libby and I created a training program that introduces all that. So everything is standardized now. When you come in the door, you have multiple training manuals for each step, and it has activities and downtime information. I also give them an iPad that has podcasts saved on it for them. So they have the tools to learn about how great this industry is and can focus on all the great things it has to offer. And training is not easy. Like, I remember my training, it was good training, but it was frustrating. I came home and I was exhausted and I was like, what am I doing? And, I am very much, I went to college. I have a master's degree. I'm very good in the classroom setting. Like, I can read a book and take a test. Like, that's my thing. But that is not training at dispatch. It's like, you know it, but like, how do you use it? And it is in a career that you really don't feel comfortable, like, what you're doing until you're 2 years into it. And there's not many careers like that where you're like, wow, okay. And all of a sudden, like, you're past your 2 years and you're like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I got this. I can help other people now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it really just takes that team effort. And then we also need to support each other. So, I have stressed to my supervisors, like, you have to take ownership of your shift and you have to help them grow and develop. Like, this isn't just a job. Like, what do you want out of it? What training do you want to go to? Is there something we can do outside these four walls that can make you a better dispatcher, a better human? Like, whatever it is, let's think outside the box.
So kind of to piggyback too on Kelley is, we have these ranks. You have dispatcher, trainer, supervisor, deputy director. A lot of times when people look at that, they think, okay, discipline, right? The trainers discipline the dispatchers, the supervisors discipline the trainers. That's like kind of how they look at it. And that's not what it is. We don't, Kelley and, our deputy director, they are not about discipline. That this is not a hierarchy of, who disciplines who. So we try to really get that out of our center. This is not about discipline. And when it comes down to it and, kind of guiding, and sometimes you need coaching or discipline or something to kind of guide you in the right direction. Okay, that's where those are set up. But really it's a level of responsibility. The higher up you go, the more responsibility you have. But also, Kelley does a different job than us. Kelley can't do her job without us. And we cannot do our job without Kelley. And so if Kelley's trying to be good at her job, she needs to be direct with us and say, this is what I need from all of you to do my job well. And it goes the other way. Kelley, I'm, trying to be a good supervisor. This is what I need from you to help me do that. And so all these levels and different job descriptions that we have, they need to go back and forth, and that's what I'm a supervisor right now, and I have 3 girls on my team. And I really do try to tell them, I'm in charge here, I guess, if that's how you want to say it. But what I like to tell them is I am responsible for you. I am like a parent. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to teach you. But I can't do my job without you, and there are days, especially when we're fully staffed, my dispatcher number 1 is working cops radio, and dispatcher number 2 is working fire EMS, and dispatcher number 3 is taking all these, hard phone calls. And here I am. I'm just sitting in the back watching them do their thing because they're so good. They're making my job easier. And I make sure that I tell them that. And the same with our admin. They make sure they give credit where credit is due. And so I think that, this is what I need from you. What do you need from me? Kind of attitude here, and having respect for everyone at every level, even our new person. I mean, we say all the time, there are 20-year veterans out there who might accidentally think out loud to themselves, man, what do I do in this situation? We want the person who's been on the floor for 2 weeks to say, I know what to do. I know what to do, because we've just trained them. We've been making them read policies for months, and we've been drilling them, and we've been testing them, and we just put them through a shadow and said, you need to know this. Well, so of course they know that. So we want to create an environment where the veteran says, thank you. I appreciate you giving me that information. And then having that person who's brand new here say, man, I do know some stuff. Mm-hmm. I can be helpful here. We say things like it takes you 2 years to get comfortable here, which is very true, if not longer,
Right.
But that doesn't mean you're not a valuable resource from day one. All these kids nowadays that we're hiring, all these apps that I know nothing about, and they can find anybody on the internet and who their grandma was and where they lived. And, that is valuable stuff a lot of times that you cannot teach. And so we need to embrace these people and embrace everything everyone has to offer, because it's all different.
And one of the things is strength-based leadership. So we do focus on that. And there is a whole book on it, but you could take a test. The new people take tests, and it shows what their strengths are. So
strength-based.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
strength-based.
Okay. Yes, and, that is a really good book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the thing is, I created more supervisor jobs. So when you have an extra supervisor, you have an assigned job. So Libby is in charge of the public relations team with another supervisor. And then she is also kind of taking on the peer support role too. So she's taking over that. But, like being able to give them jobs based on their strengths also makes them feel even more productive in this environment. It gives them other things to do. And then not only that is like, she's in charge of the public relations team. She has a whole team, and she can also help use their strengths to help build that team even more. So you really got to focus on what people do well and utilize those skills to their fullest capability. And then they're going to even feel more empowered in this job that they are making a difference, because it's frustrating to show up. Like, you're going to have to do things you're not good at, right? But it is frustrating if you have to show up every day and do all these things that it's not necessarily your strength.
Right.
But if you can implement more things of like, hey, this person's really good at this. I have one dispatcher. He is so knowledgeable in dispatch and the emergency medical field. So he works on an ambulance. He's a firefighter. So he created the Mayday policy for me. He worked with other firefighters, and he took his dispatch knowledge and he created a whole Mayday policy. And then, I went over it with him. We made a few changes. And then not only that, he loves to teach.
Yeah.
So
he asked to teach it.
Yeah. He taught all the dispatchers the Mayday policy.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is his strength. He looked forward to it. It was exciting. And if it's things that we can do for all of our employees and pull that out of them and let them do something that's kind of like outside of the everyday duties of dispatch, it really helps them feel like they're a part of this and making a difference.
So that was too kind of one of the things that I kind of stress and am trying to like, you know, I know it's a double-edged sword. I like to say, get off the island, get out of the center. Like we don't just come to this building and answer the phone and then go home. You know, which I know in the industry, short staffing and sometimes it's easier said than done. But one thing I think that we do really well here is we get our people out of the center, you know, and we send them to training and we send them into schools to teach young kids, you know, not only about calling 911, but also public safety. You know, you don't have to be afraid of police officers or firefighters or, you know, if the ambulance shows up, it doesn't mean, you know, somebody's going to die. And so I think that kind of education can start very, very young in creating a new community of acceptance of field responders, you know, and then we're talking to middle schoolers and high schoolers. I mean, my kids are young and right now they're set on what they want to do when they grow up, you know, and that's a police officer and a firefighter. That's what we're dealing with right now, you know,
That's
but
funny.
you sometimes get some of these high schoolers who maybe they don't know where to go, or maybe they don't know about us, or even, you know, sometimes people think I want to be a police officer or a firefighter, and their mom's like, too bad, you can't do that. I don't want you to do that, you know? And so we're like, have you thought about dispatch, you know? And so reaching those kids, you know, we've talked about going into nursing homes. How do you call 911? What can I expect when I call? Going to these fire open houses, we've had such a diverse, like, opportunity for trainings lately, you know, like going to the farm animal rescue. And I think we have that in 2 weeks. You know, what do you do with the farm animals? And in this county that we live in, it's super helpful.
It's part of our emergency management response plan, and it's called E-Rail, and it's, you know, resources for livestock. So if you have an emergency, like a semi that maybe got in an accident and it had livestock, like what do you do with the livestock? And we are sending 3 dispatchers to that. We had 2 go last year, and they basically like herd cattle and pigs and chickens into different trailers. And so the first time they went, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then I was like, I need more pictures next week.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like, I grew up in the Kalamazoo area. I don't know how to herd a pig or a cow.
Right. You know, and like, but get them out.
But that helps them be able to give the resources and the help to the people out on the field. Are they going to really go to an accident and herd pigs? Cows?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Right. But they'll have a better idea, even with the caller.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, when you put your dispatchers in that environment, they at least know what the caller is going through.
And then we had, like our fire departments had a tanker task force training, and we had dispatchers go out there and see exactly what it was all about, which I wasn't able to make it to that one, but I saw pictures and I was like, I had no idea they did that. Like they actually make kind of like a little pool type thing, like a portable pool, and then they pull water from a pond, and then they take it and, you know, disperse it where they need to go. It's kind of this big shuttle system, and they're like, wow, I didn't know that that's how this all worked. But, you know, and then we also in the past have had dispatchers go with fire departments and use the the jaws of life or whatever to put into cars. So they get to get in the fire gear and cut open the cars, and they realize how hard it could be for them to hear a dispatcher if they're asking something in the middle of that, and what it's like.
So it makes us more of like a community as opposed to dispatchers and field responders.
And
You know,
they,
we're all
Right.
in this together.
they get to know each other too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
Right.
And one thing I think Kelley does really well too that still makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and now she knows it firsthand, is she puts us out there. You know, she's sending us to these board meetings and introducing us and saying, hey, look, this is who you have answering the phones in Eaton County. Let me tell you how great they are. And she's putting us on social media, and she's putting us on the news. And you know, anyway, whether she can physically get us out of this building or the media or meetings or anything, she wants people to know who we are and what we're doing. And I just think that, and literally making us a deployable resource, you know, to send out and help the community, that just makes our people feel good. You know, and that's the first step. Is you can say all day long, you know, oh, you do a great job, and oh, your job is so hard, I could never do it, you know, blah blah blah. But like to actually put us out there and say, no, this is, you know, dispatcher so and so took this call, saved a life, and then that family came into our center and thanked them for that, and we're going to tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
That is what makes people feel good.
And that's really helpful, you know, to the dispatcher too. You guys are doing some really, really great things there at your PSAP. I think you've given our listeners a, a ton of ideas. I know, you know, some of the PSAPs, some of the people who are going to be listening to you, they're going to be thinking, well, we don't have those kind of resources. But, you know, even just a couple of the ideas that you gave, just incredible resources. I'm really grateful that you were able to come and join us today.
And let us help you. You know, we have emails, we have, you know, shoot us an email, follow us on Facebook. Like we're more than happy to suggest things. If you're, like Kelley said, you know, she's so big in the APCO, Nina, you know, she has a lot of knowledge there that she's trying to share down the line to us. Maybe some centers don't know about those resources and in those trainings, or you know, now after COVID, unfortunately, there's so much virtual. You know,
Right.
if you can't get your people out of the center, let us help you find some virtual things to at least start. But that's, I think, how we're going to get better is by teaching others. And so we're very grateful to work here and have the resources, but let us teach you or help you be better too. So
All right. Well, Kelley and Libby are from Eaton County, Michigan. And again, I thank you so much, ladies, and congratulations to both of you and your whole PSAP for your of the year awards. I'm proud to be in the same state as you are, and I thank you everyone for joining us today. And I hope you make it a great day. Go out there and make a difference. Thank you,
right.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.